first thing I'm going to say is that we're recording the meeting. So my colleague Morgan has just pressed record on this so that those people who aren't able to make it to this session, but who would like to be part of the briefing, can download this from the website in their own time. My name is Cassie Chadderton. I'm the Chief Executive of World Book Day, and it's really nice to see you all. Just going to ask Jessica, Morgan, Emma, Annabelle, Kate, I think that's everyone from the World Book Day team, just to wave and say hello. So we're all here today really to help you get the best from World Book Day, and that includes being here to answer any questions you might have or go into kind of anything you want to go into really about World Book Day. I'm going to start with a presentation and give you an overview of the session. So let me just check that you can all see that. Just looking for some thumbs up. Thank you very much. So we'll start with a quick overview about World Book Day, what we're all about, and our approach to the 2024 campaign. The whole purpose of today's session is to have a focus on booksellers on World Book Day. So there'll be a particular set of slides on that, and also then an opportunity to ask us questions. Put them in the chat, ask them out loud, send them to us later. We're open to questions in any form. We've then got a recording of a conversation between Sanchita at the Children's Bookshop and Kirsty from Kibworth Books, which I have to say will only be 10 minutes, but it was quite a tough task to get that down to 10 minutes because we pre-recorded it and they had the most brilliant conversation. So there will also be a longer version of that on the website too. And then Sanchita is going to join a little bit later to just do a live Q&A for any other questions that might come up that might be more directed to a bookseller or between us all. And actually Q&A, but if it's a conversation, that's great too. There are a few of us here, but I think, you know, we'd be quite happy to manage a chat between us all if you want to just ask questions of each other as well. So I'll get started on the rest of the content. I think slides are on. Okay. So World Book Day, our mission as a charity is to promote reading for pleasure. So essentially we are a reading for pleasure campaign. That's our purpose, that's our object of charity. As part of doing that, we also make sure that we offer every child and young person the opportunity to have a book of their own. And that, of course, is critically where booksellers come in. But more broadly, so through our annual event in March, which we aim for it to be joyful, celebratory, and a lot of fun, we're encouraging more children to read, to enjoy reading, and we're raising awareness of the difference that reading makes to their lives. We've got a particular focus on reaching children who are growing up in disadvantage and inequality because of that difference that reading makes to children's lives. And then year round, we also offer resources to families, to schools, to booksellers, to libraries, to others to make sure that we're doing all we can to support children to read for pleasure and to have the resources around them that can help them enjoy reading. When you can see a child with a speech bubble talking about World Book Day, these genuine quotes from children. So we're really proud that children do tell us that World Book Day makes a difference in their lives. Children saying that it kind of turns around their understanding and their attitude to reading is what we're all about. So why do we do this? Why is World Book Day needed? So yes, reading for pleasure really does matter to children's lives. It is the single biggest indicator of a child's future success. So more so than their family circumstances or the parents' educational background or their income. And when we talk about success, we're talking about a range of different measures. So that can be well-being, it can be educational attainment in reading, but across the curriculum too, mental health, and on a range of kind of further measures. Reading for pleasure is one of the things that really stands out as an indicator to improve a child's life chances. So that's the kind of background to World Book Day's existence as a charity. But at the moment, we're in a serious place because we know that fewer children are choosing to read. And in fact, that has been the case for quite some time. So reading for pleasure at the moment is at its lowest level since 2005. And when we know that in the UK, almost 1 million children don't have a book of their own, and that's particularly acute for children who receive free school meals, so therefore growing up in inequality, it's kind of not surprising that children are going to need some support and encouragement around them to see reading as a good and interesting and kind of valuable part of their lives. Fewer than 3 in 10 children at the moment are saying they read daily. And that's where we think World Book Day comes in to encourage children to see reading as a hobby and as something that's joyful. So the good thing is that we have got a huge presence in children's lives, and we know that we are making a difference. So at the moment, round about 95% of children and 86% of adults have heard of World Book Day, which is a profile that is enviable. What we want to do is make sure that we're doing everything we can to encourage people to see reading as a good thing to do with that presence and profile. So as part of World Book Day, we make sure that every child and young person has the opportunity to get the book. 50 million of the tokens are given to children in various formats. Mostly children will receive the token at school or at nursery or in another educational setting in the paper token that you then receive in your shop. The tokens are also available through magazines, through other charities, and also through partnerships such as the McDonald's Happy Meals partnerships. In 2023, over 2 million books were given. That's through your shops, and it's also through our community partnerships, getting books to children directly in some cases. It's great to know that one in 5 pupils who receive free school meals say the £1 book that they bought with their £1 token was the first book they'd had of their own. Great, because we know we're making a difference, but it certainly indicates that there's plenty more to do. When we know that 77% of children did take part in a World Book Day event last year, we know that we're reaching quite a lot of children. We also want to make sure that more children are taking time to read as a result of engaging with World Book Day and are finding reading more fun. So this is a real snapshot of World Book Day last year. We can't do one for World Book Day 2024 yet because we don't know what it will look like. Some of the things are in place, but not everything. It's a media campaign, it's a PR campaign, and it's also a campaign that's delivered through schools, through partnerships. And so we'll update this tile after World Book Day this year. But I just wanted to share this one with you because it really does show how the presence and reach of World Book Day is huge, and every year it does become the national conversation. So whether that's through events in Parliament or whether it is through donated media space, advert space, sorry, whether it's through over 4,000 booksellers taking part or nearly 2,000 libraries, or partnerships such as the one that we had in place with the London Eye and Merlin last year. We like to make sure that World Book Day is a really visible presence, and it's very much coming across as this kind of brilliant celebration that can feel like it's a really enjoyable part of children's lives and families' lives. So what we do know about World Book Day this year is that we have got a really compelling campaign platform. So we're calling World Book Day this year's platform Read Your Way. So just to go into a little bit of background about that, over the last few years, we've been looking at the evidence base about what actually encourages children to read for pleasure. And we've been looking at our resources, materials, and making sure that everything that we do is absolutely based on or is informed by the evidence around what encourages children to read, and is focused on achieving that. So we're really kind of focusing our resources so that they are making a difference to children's reading lives. We're calling this the World Book Day 6 principles to encourage children to read for pleasure. When we talk to children, we don't call them the 6 principles. We talk about the 6 elements that make up a reading superpower. But just to present them to you today, we thought we'd show you them as the 6 principles, brilliantly illustrated by Vivian Trong, who is our illustrator for 2024 and 2025. So they are making or finding time to read, really important, being read to regularly, having books at home and at school and in other places, having trusted help to find a book, having a choice in what to read, and absolutely making reading fun. So these were all elements that came out when we looked at the evidence base around what really works to encourage children to read for pleasure. And we present these as a kind of networked 6 principles. It's not one thing or the other. It's all of these things being networked together that makes the difference. And of course, you'll see yourself in this. So Booksellers' role in making all of these 6 principles happen is essential. Whether it's about, providing that precious time to read in your lovely shops and making the space, providing story time sessions, making it accessible to have books at home, having that help and that guidance to find a book that children will really enjoy, having that choice, which is incredible. And then, of course, you're also making huge efforts to make reading fun for children and to make them want to come back and explore it even further. Now, this year, we've been looking even more into the evidence base around what children actually think about reading for pleasure. And some of this work has been commissioned. We've been working with Be No Brain, our partners, to talk to children about what they think about reading. And some of this work we've been doing ourselves. Both pieces of work were funded because we really wanted to make sure that we're being robust in the way we look at children's reading for pleasure experiences. So what we found, in a nutshell, is that children are being told that reading is great, but actually we're showing them something else. We're showing them through all sorts of things that reading is something that they have to do rather than that they choose to do. So what's sitting behind Read Your Way this year is a really strong message to parents, to carers, to schools, to everyone around children, to put children's voices first and to listen to them so that we can let go of pressure and expectations around reading and give children a choice and a chance to just enjoy it. Let's not back it up with a task. Let's not back it up with something else that they have to do. Let's let them choose what they want to read and let them enjoy themselves. I just thought I'd present this World Book Day's Reading for Pleasure ecology to you because booksellers play an absolutely vital role in the whole ecology in bringing the joy of reading for pleasure to children and young people. And I thought it would be interesting to see how else we work. So as well as with booksellers, we're also making sure that we're reaching children and families directly. We also work very closely with schools and educators, making sure that they see good education resources around reading for pleasure and good messaging around what reading for pleasure is. We work with libraries, some of whom will hold events and make the books available. Some of them will just have a World Book Day celebration. We work with other literacy charities to distribute the tokens, sometimes to do events in partnerships. Of course, we're working with publishers because between you, publishers and booksellers, we're making the £1 books available. And we also work with publishers more broadly to kind of keep the celebration really high profile through lots of different touch points. So partnerships are really absolutely essential to World Book Day. And we believe that it is this partnership and this ecology of partners that makes World Book Day happen to support a lifelong love of reading. Everybody involved in this will have an influence on children's lives and on their reading experience. And World Book Day tries to make sure that we're working in a network way around the annual celebration to make sure that we're getting a coherent message across to children about why reading can be a brilliant thing to do and why they might choose to do it. So for bookshops, what's really important is that you're doing World Book Day your way. So the £1 books and the £1 token is the essential, I think, the kind of core bits of World Book Day for you all and for us all in partnership with you. And just to go back to a figure that I mentioned earlier in the presentation, at a time when nearly 1 million children in the UK don't have a book of their own, I think that shows what an absolutely vital and really valued job you're doing here to get these books, to get these £1 books to children. Because it is with your help that we can get the £1 books exchanged for that £1 token. And in the exchange, we're not just giving children books, or you're not just giving children books, you're also creating that choice and you're creating that excitement and you're creating the fun that will encourage children to want to become readers and want to come back into bookshops and explore even further. This year, for the World Book Day campaign, we're making sure that all of the £1 book authors and illustrators are getting out and about. So most of them, if not all, not all of them are based in the UK, but those that we can are getting out and about to their local booksellers and having events and you know, meeting their local communities and meeting local school children and doing that thing that we hope all of you will be able to do. If you're having events, if you're having activities and you'd like to showcase them, please add them to the World Book Day partner event showcase on the website, because we want to make sure that what you're doing is visible to anybody who comes along and wants to look out for what's happening around World Book Day. Just a quick note on bookshops and schools. Throughout the year, starting in September and carrying on throughout the year, we try to encourage schools to contact bookshops really early and encourage them to understand how the £1 books, £1 token system works. I know that this can be an area of kind of a frustration for us all, because sometimes it feels as though schools don't necessarily understand how the £1 token, £1 book system works. We're doing our best to make sure that it's as clear as possible. And we're also offering a matching service to schools, so that if they don't quite know who their local bookshop is, but we've encouraged them to contact you, we'll be able to put them in touch, or at least give them your contact details so that they can reach out directly and have a conversation. And this year we have a bookseller toolkit available for you. Available from today, I think, just Em's nod, yes. So it's absolutely packed with information and fun resources. So everything from stories from other booksellers saying how they've done World Book Day, to the £1 token barcode. There are games, there are bookmarks, there's a guide to running events, there are sample emails for local schools and press, and fundraising ideas. I'm just going to pick out a few highlights, but I promise you there is so much more to explore in the Bookseller Toolkit. So this year, we'd like to invite you to join our dump bin challenges. So of course, we know how loved and valued the World Book Day dump bin is. And so we thought this year we might offer some prizes for the record assembly time. Some of you are real experts. Anything in under 3 months, as far as I'm concerned, would be really impressive. So there is a prize for the record assembly time for the dump bin. And also, if you would like to offer your advice on assembling the dump bin in the form of a TikTok video or an Insta feed, and you tag us, the more creative you can be, and of course, the more helpful you'd like to be, prizes for that too. Please get involved. We'd love to see what you're up to. Also, do get involved with Read Your Way. If you create an imaginative Read Your Way display to showcase how much fun reading can be as a hobby, and share them with us, we'd be glad to share them out to the wider audience. And again, prizes, the ones that we, in our wisdom, think are the best ones. This year, we're also introducing a countertop of World Book Day pin badges, which is a fundraising mechanism for World Book Day, but it also brings an income to booksellers too. So 25p per badge to World Book Day, 25p per badge to World Book Day, and then I think it's something like 100 plus return to booksellers. The details are all in the Bookseller Toolkit. And if you're looking for broader ways to decorate and show that you're celebrating World Book Day, there are some free downloads on our website that connect to our new celebration packs. So the packs as a whole contain banners, bookmarks, bunting, balloons, stickers, and event posters, and they're available from Party Delights. 5% of all of those sales go to support World Book Day's work. But as I say, there is also some free downloads of materials on our website. So I'm actually going to stop the share while I just pause and have a chat with everyone, so I can actually see your faces. Would anyone like to comment, ask questions, share your thoughts? Wave of nostalgia is waving, but you're on mute.
I am.
Hello.
Hi, Cassie. That was brilliant. We love World Book Day.
Right.
We've done it for 3 years now, so we should be able to do that dump challenge. I'm really looking forward to that.
Will it look different this year?
It looked a bit different this year, so hopefully. Okay, so my question is, one of the things that has been spoken to me about by parents and teachers, I think the children more or less enjoy it, but you talked in one of your slides about the evidence about letting go of pressure and expectations. The dressing up side of World Book Day, I don't know where that came from, but it does seem to have quite a lot of pressure on the parents and the teachers, the time and the cost. And I don't know how we can just maybe take that pressure off just a little bit.
All right, such a good point. No, I've not been through the archives either to find out when it first started, but we do know, don't we, that it is an incredibly recognisable part of World Book Day. And it brings an awful lot of pleasure and joy to an awful lot of people, which is fantastic, and we love that. But we have also, and I agree, we all agree with you, got to be very mindful of the fact that it can create extra pressure for some families. So the first thing that we will always say, and it's been in our packs to schools and our messaging to schools for some time, is you don't have to do it. There are loads of really fun ways that you can create a good chat around books, that you can create a sense of celebration around books and reading, that you can encourage children to share their recommendations to each other without actually getting children to come in costume. So we love to see that happen too. So when we see things like decorating spoons or decorating potatoes, we like to celebrate that as much as we do the dressing up. Having said that, dressing up is a feature, and one of the things we find is that when schools say that they're not going to do it, they'll often get pushback from some parents who do still want to do it. So at the same time as offering alternatives, we also say there are ways to do the dressing up in low cost or no cost. So lots of schools, for example, have started doing a free rail of donated dressing up costumes. So when you've grown out of those costumes, my daughter used to grow out of them within about 5 seconds, it seemed, then you would donate them and then offer them to other children to be able to take and use on World Book Day. We also this year have worked in partnership with Oxford University Press to offer a kind of a do-it-yourself costume resource. And when we did this exercise, it came in at something that, I mean, Kate's here, she'll be able to have the exact amount, but it was incredibly cheap per class to create some costumes connected with, there's lots of guidance on the site, connected to World Book Day books for this year. But when we did the workshop, it was just brilliant to see the children getting really excited about these costumes, and they were year 5, I think, Kate, and they were all still chose to go out into the playground wearing them. So the sense of pride that can come from making your own costumes and making them really cheaply as well is something that we will showcase and celebrate whenever we can. I can see a couple of questions coming up in the chat, which we will get to, I promise. I just want to see if anybody else wants to ask a question.
Hello, Cassie, Chris at Serenity Booksellers. Thank you so much. This is all useful. We are a brand new bookshop. We only opened in April, so we missed World Book Day last year. So first time for us, so new and exciting, and also scary because we don't quite know what to do. So yeah, I just might be a stupid question, but what the bookseller packs that you was talking about, you said they'd be ready. Where do we get access to them? And sorry if we've misled email communication.
On our website, but we also will email everybody, so so that you'll have a link to it directly, and we'll also be sharing an email address, which is just simply booksellers@worldbookday.com. If you're ever not sure, just get in touch.
Thank you. No, that's really useful. The bit that we were sort of most worrying, or not really worrying about, we've got quite a few local schools that have come to us and asked us, what are we doing? Yeah. And we was only really the 2 of us, so we just didn't know how that we'd best utilise only 2 people to support 4, 5, 6 more schools during the day. So I think any tips and guidance on that would be massively helpful.
So I'm actually going to just pause on that because the conversation between Kirsty and Sanchita really gets into that, and Sanchita was joining as well for a Q&A. So I think maybe you'll get some good advice from there.
Fantastic, thank you very
much.
But
I would also say, don't feel don't feel under pressure to meet everyone's needs. I think one of the things that we try and get across to schools is that you guys as bookshops are doing this because you care about making sure that children have got access to reading, but you've also got limited resources. So if you can only do an event in store for two schools this year, or you can only go to 2 schools, or whichever way you're choosing to do it, that's up to you. You know, you're getting involved and it's brilliant and it's fabulous to have your support. And then maybe you can build in future years.
Perfect. Thank you. That's really useful. Thank you.
Oh,
Hello.
sorry.
Hi.
We have a lot of teachers that come in with 30 plus tokens
Mm-hmm.
and no children.
Mm-hmm.
We also have families that come in, and I only bought 1 pack of each books last year, and the more popular ones went very quickly when I was allowing teachers to take
Mm-hmm.
big packs of books away. I then stopped them doing that because the families that were bringing their children after school give them the experience of the bookshop. And what I think is one of the things that's behind this initiative, rather than just sort of funding the libraries, I think that that's what's happening with some of these books, that the books are going into the libraries of the schools because they haven't got as much money, rather than the children choosing a book in a bookshop, getting the bookshop experience, etc., etc. What do you advise with that?
Yeah, I think sometimes you might need to kind of make a balanced choice. So what's behind World Book Day is encouraging children to read. And one of the things we do hope is that as part of World Book Day, as many children as possible are getting a book of their own to take home. So what you're experiencing there with teachers coming into the shop is that there's a really high need at the moment for schools to have as many books as possible. You know, I was in a school last week where the head teacher absolutely commits fully to reading for pleasure, and she has to make a really strong case every year to even get her books budget up by £50, or actually £50 total. So when teachers are coming in, it's because they've just got this incredibly strong appetite to make sure that their children, or the children that they work with, can get hold of books directly. They're also really conscious that not every child is going to be in a home environment that prioritizes reading. So that some children just are simply unlikely to come into a bookshop, whether that's a Tesco or an independent bookshop, to exchange that book for to exchange the token for a book. Now, some booksellers will use that as a moment to have a conversation with the school about maybe getting involved a bit earlier next time. Maybe you'd like to go in and talk to children about the bookshop and set up a kind of pop-up bookshop in the shop. Or maybe that teacher would like to bring the children into the bookshop and have a bookshop experience, which, as you rightly say, is hopefully, or in fact is proved to be, a really great way of encouraging children to feel excited about books and reading and to want to come back with their families at another time. But it's kind of up to you. And as I said before to Chris, you've got limited resources. So it can be a way to start a conversation with a teacher about next year, how about we do this slightly differently, but explaining that you've got these books in for children who are going to come in with their families and you haven't got that many of them. But it can be a way to kind of build that relationship for future years.
Quite a lot of the schools that are coming in, though, are out of my area. It's almost as if they've utilised all the outlets in their area, and then because we're a small market town and an independent bookshop that is quite like hen's teeth in this area, they just come and clear my stock out, and I just don't think it's fair for the other people who make it. Yes, I appreciate that there are people whose parents will never take them to a bookshop, but the families who make the effort to come in, and then the special Spider-Man book that this one little boy particularly wants has been cleared out by a school from out of the area. You know, I wonder whether a direct thing to the schools would also,
we do say directly to schools. So our school's communication, we do a similar session to this. We talk about pre-planning with booksellers. We invite them to come to you early, to order stock, to even pay for stock if they want to do that gifting. It is coming, as Cassie said, it's genuinely coming from a desire for teachers to get books to the children that most need them, and they know that the children that most need them aren't going to be the children that get brought to the stockists. So it's a tricky balance on both sides. So we completely appreciate your position, but we also understand the desire of the teachers that the children who they most want to have a World Book Day book and a choice of World Book Day books get them. So we are having the conversation. Just to reassure you, we are absolutely having the conversation on both sides and making it very clear to schools that this is you buying books for children, and that yes, absolutely, that disappointing experience of a child coming into a shop and not finding the book they were looking for is obviously really tricky for you to handle too.
I mean, we definitely appreciate it's tricky, and you're not, from World Book Day's point of view, at all obliged to meet all of that need. You're doing an incredible thing in getting involved and making those books available to the children.
Well, I've ordered double the amount that I ordered last year, so that I hopefully can, because I do know that it's, you know, with Book Start and all of the other charities, you know, I appreciate it is really important, but I just wondered whether World Book Day could do so, you know, could you supply somehow directly to the schools? So
that's a really good point. Yeah, we sometimes do. So we have been raising funds to make sure that we can get books to schools and communities that are in most need, and where we know that token exchange in a bookshop is least likely to happen. And of course, what we hope is that it then becomes a stepping stone to further engagement with bookshops. I think probably, given the amount of need and given the amount of children, that you'll still be approached for quite some time, because, you know, this is a kind of ongoing fundraising exercise for us to make sure that we can get those books directly to the most disadvantaged communities. But again, you know, there's a limit. You're taking part in a brilliant way, and it's much appreciated. And when you've reached the end of your finite resources, you've reached them. But it's what you're doing is really appreciated. I think Wave of Nostalgia was waving again. I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
I'm sorry, it's Diane. Thanks, Cassie. Really interesting to hear what the lady at Bookmark has to say, and I understand that. We when we first started doing it, we would have teachers turn up with like 400 tokens and then say, these are all worth £1, you know, but they're not actually worth £1. It's very difficult to explain that it's a charity, etc. And they say, well, if you don't, do you need them? We haven't brought them. Can we use them again? No, you can't use them again because you've got a limited supply. Last year we went, we actually ordered 3,000 books last year, which is 300 quid. But do you know, it's so worth it to make sure the children have those books, and our relationship with the school and with local parents and things has increased tenfold.
Oh, that's brilliant to hear. Well,
so we ordered a few more, Cassie. The reason what I wanted to say was, if we have any left, I actually give them away during the year. You can tell from a conversation with parents that are pushing prams or whatever that they can't actually afford a book at full price, perhaps, from our shop. You know, and it's so nice sometimes as they're leaving, just to give them a little book that the children's face light up. This is just during the year. It has one of our bookmarks in it. Sometimes they come back again, but I just wondered if there was something that we could do, like a little giveaway, perhaps during the year, not just focused on one day. Is there just 1 or 2 books we could have in the age range that we could just dip into during the year? Are there some left at the end of World Book Day that we could use? And I know I've heard on these seminars or webinars before that sometimes bookshops will say, well, people didn't come and get them, they're all in my loft. And I just think that is such a shame. Even if they're old books, we can still use them and give them out. I had none left.
Oh, sure. And I think, you know, you'll hear a bit later from Sanchita and Kirsty with some ideas about how to make use of the books all year round. Party bags seems like a really popular idea as well. I think we agree with you. There are loads of different creative ways to make sure that the books are in use if you've got any left over after World Book Day, which is not a guarantee. But yeah, thanks so much for those ideas. And we also do say we try to get all of this information out to schools as well. So please rest assured that we're, as well as having this session with you, as Kate has said, we've also had briefings with schools so that they're getting some clear information as well. Just conscious that we've got a 10-minute Q&A, and I want to just have a look at the questions in the chat as well. Thank you for the bucket full of dinosaurs quote. Are paper tokens going to secondary schools? Paper tokens are going to secondary schools this year. So we can still give the digital token to people who, for some reason, did not get their paper token, but it will be like in an ad hoc. So it's not a whole kind of age group that will be getting them. Secondary schools will be getting paper tokens. Sorry, I'm just trying to skip through them. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think you've got, as Kibworth Books has said, you've kind of got to set up your World Book Day in the way that makes sense for you. And as long as you're clear with people about what you're doing, you're saying it's one token, one book, and that after all are the terms and conditions for the use of the token, then I think that should be respected. And then different conversations can take place with schools about how they might work with you to come in, or then to come into you to get that kind of mass exchange happening. 4 pop-ups at local schools and the amount of children who say it's the first book of their own. Jackie, that's brilliant. And also, well, yeah, thank you for doing that. So I'm going to share the screen again and just move on to the presentation between our colleagues Kirsty and Sanchita, who had a brilliant conversation about World Book Day. It's 10 minutes, but it's 10 minutes I think that is really valuable. And Sanchita is here to answer and have a chat, to answer some questions and have a chat after it.
Cassie, I can't hear anything. I don't know if anyone else can.
No, I can't either.
No, same here.
Okay, nobody can hear anything. I can, but that's no help to you all. Can anybody who isn't me hear anything? Any of the World Book Day team? I've paused it now, so we won't be hearing anything now.
I've had this before with Zooms trying to show video footage. For some reason, the sound not coming through.
Not
I don't know
working.
what the solution is, I'm afraid.
Well, let's be pragmatic and say we are going to make this Q&A available later, so you can download it and have a look in your own time, rather than trying to get the sound to work. I'm going to stop the share again and say, how about we carry on with the Q&A, and I'm just going to introduce Sanchita from the Children's Bookshop. Hi. Do you mind taking yourself off mute?
Hello everyone.
So I'm sorry that the video didn't play, or the video played but the sound didn't play, because that was a brilliant chat you had with Kirsty.
Oh, it was a good catch up, and it was quite interesting because we both, you'll see it in the video later, but we both have quite different approaches to how we're able to do World Book Days. So it's definitely worth having a little listen, either if you've got quite a strong children's department, or actually if you're maybe a bit smaller and you're working out how to pool your resources on quite a big day or week, definitely have a look.
So what we thought we would do in that Q&A is do a kind of almost a mentoring session in a way, because Kirsty was keen to hear from Sanchita as a more experienced children's bookseller about how they work around World Book Day. So everything from planning to stuff on the shop floor, to what do you do with the books afterwards, how do you cope when a million schools come to you and ask for the books. So they had a good conversation, but I think there was a nice kind of sharing of information and practice between the two of them. So if you've got questions yourself for Sanchita or for the rest of the World Book Day team, let's share them now.
And whilst you're thinking of any questions, if you have any left, I was going to say, the teachers who come up with a sheaf of 30, we always say to them, come after World Book Day. If we have anything spare, then we'll send you what we can. We can't give it to you whilst the kids are all spending their vouchers. So that I'm quite bossy around World Book Day. And most teachers tend to understand, and they will be, because normally if they've got a sheaf of 30, they are really keen to get books. So they will be very happy with what you can send when you can send it, and they will appreciate that children probably get first priority until then. And I loved, in terms of spare books, if you do have any spare books, which we always have spare books because we always over order, there are so many good places you can get them to. If you link up with your local hospitals, children's hospitals, they'll be so keen for them. Any local charities that are working with children's books, virtual schools love having the World Book Day books, just because the kids aren't able to come to a venue to do it and they're too busy. And those are the kind of links which also then wind up coming to all kinds of lovely things through the year as well. And yeah, definitely party bags. They can fill out 30 party bags along with cakes so well. Did anyone have any other questions?
Or things you'd like to share with each other about World Book Day?
Cassie, if not, I've just seen Kerry said there's a little button to share sound when screen sharing. I don't know if it's worth another try.
You can cope with my ineptness with Zoom. You can try that again.
Yeah.
That's
So
fine.
if
Sorry,
you
Kate, go on.
if you open share screen
Uh-huh.
on that window at the bottom left, in the bottom left hand corner, is
Oh,
the
there
share
it is.
sound option.
Okay, right. Let's go back a minute. Right, okay, let's give it another go.
Hi, so I am Kirsty and I am the children's bookseller at Kibworth Books. We are in Leicestershire, and this is now going to be our 15th year of taking part in World Book Day.
I am Sanchita. I'm the owner of the Children's Bookshop. We're a really old children's bookshop. We're 50 this year. And so we've been doing World Book Day, presumably since the inception. I bought the bookshop about 8 years ago, but I've been here much longer than that. And it's been quite interesting because over that period, the way we've done World Book Day has really evolved as well.
I'd love to know what a typical World Book Day looks like for you.
World Book Day was always an amazingly exciting thing. It's a birthday for everyone to join in on, a book birthday, a huge party. We used to do party bags for children who would come in on the day. We would do maybe an event or two. And then we'd always have a book signing on the Saturday following the World Book Day, because everyone would always come in on that Saturday to spend their tokens. It was a nice reason for them to come in as well. Increasingly, it has just become completely manic and insane. And it's not a day, it's more than a week. It's such a party. It's such a burst of reading celebration shared all over. Every school wants to get involved somehow, and they are so grateful for any way we can keep them part of the loop. I feel like the year gets started with World Book Day.
That's a nice way to think about it, isn't it? So what sorts of things then will you do in the run up and on the day itself and surrounding it? What would be like the key events that happen in the bookshop, and then in terms of engagement with schools for you?
We still all dress up on the day. We completely deck the shop out. We make little party bags for everyone. In the lead up to World Book Day, we'll get in touch with all the publishers and ask them to send us any bits and bobs that they have, all the POS that they've had from the previous year that they haven't managed to do anything with.
Yeah,
it all comes together in the shop. We do story times on the day. We invite classes in to come along, the little ones from local schools. They'll get stories from us. Sometimes the older ones will come in and spend their vouchers, but it's normally the little ones, because for most of the older age groups in most of the local schools, we are putting events in and authors in over that week or over that fortnight. The actual World Book Day, we tend to keep more focused in the shop.
So we engage with World Book Day every single year, and I think the main thing that we do is I always every year try and reach out to schools beforehand and kind of say, we're here, remember that we are here and that we want to engage with you on World Book Day, and we love going into schools if possible, and doing an event. This year it's really nice because we've had a school who they'd already sort of got an author kind of booked in, and they wanted to use World Book Day as an opportunity to open their new school library, and so they've got this author coming in, and we're going to go in and do a bookstore, and that just like fits really, really nicely. And then within the shop, it's always a really lovely sort of buzzy, busy day with kids coming in and using their vouchers, and that's always really nice to see. We are quite a small team, and so as much as we might be really ambitious to do more and more and more around World Book Day, you have to sort of work with the organisation structure that you've got, don't you? So how does planning work for you? Like, when do you start planning for World Book Day?
In some ways, that week starts getting plotted out quite far in advance for us, because there are schools who we just go in annually on a particular day, and so they want us back in. So then I know I am in schools almost every day that week, and I know I'm doing a book fair in this school, and I know I'm doing a book fair in that school, and they're always all day events because the classes come in one by one in that quite nice way. I would much rather be there for a slightly longer amount of day, talk to the children, tell them stories, tell them my favorites, have that proper conversation, because then the schools feel it's a really good use of time. They really promote it, and the children really feel valued. They feel special. They remember you year after year when you're going in.
Lovely, isn't it? That sense of being part of their reading journey, that it's not just that one day of World Book Day. It is about promoting that joy of reading, and that they are on this journey throughout the whole of their life. So that gets scheduled in. You're in every year. They just know it. That's your partner schools.
We're not a huge team. We're about a team of 4 or 5, I guess. And I think for 10 days, we need everyone there. So even if it's part-time people, I say you've got to, this is the people who are full-time. Anyone who I can get to help us out day after day over this period. Obviously, if you've set up author events, you need to try and support them. Although more and more, I've had to start saying, it's okay, we've got a very good teacher or librarian there. They're people who we trust and who we work with. They can look after it. Pre-sales will be organized. So for that, you have to talk to the publishers and the events team to just make sure that they believe and they know that it is going to be in good hands.
That's probably the case, isn't it, for lots of bookshops? I mean, at the end of the day, you've only got the size of the team that you have, and you can't be everywhere.
Because obviously we're a specialist children's bookshop, so people do come to us first, but you have so many different branches. How do you go about it?
We are a general all through bookseller, and my role within the team is the children's bookseller. So my role is that I'm the school's liaison and the children's buyer and so on. That means that in terms of planning and preparation for World Book Day, it is mainly me. Still, in terms of the day itself, everybody's on board in the shop. What that means for our scope for going out and doing things with schools, it's obviously they're more reduced to what I can manage to do on the day, and then the rest of the team are in the shop on the day and welcoming kids in through the door. How do you deal with those inevitable last minute requests?
What I find is that the schools that get in touch last minute are so desperate for anything, it's quite easy to find something that they can do. So World Book Day itself is really such a party that you can just give them various ideas. The World Book Day website itself has amazing resources. I know at any given point all the authors will be doing lots of lovely talks and online sessions and recordings that they can have a look and get involved in. You can tell them that you can't physically do their book stall for them, but you will curate a selection of books and give it to them. And if they can man the bookshop, they will be very happy to man a pop-up bookshop most of the time. It's brilliant just to remind them that actually it doesn't have to just be in that 1 week.
On that, so it doesn't have to be on that day.
Because they're normally asking for an author. You can say, oh, it's fine, we can look at that a little bit further down, building on hopefully lots of lovely enthusiasm and reading culture that you've been doing over this period.
Do you feel that like you are having customers come through the door with their tokens who you sort of already know, they're known customers to the bookshop, or do you find that it is bringing people in who you wouldn't normally reach out to?
There are always people with their vouchers who are brand new to us, and we'll see them this one time and then they vanish into the ether. We will never see them again, and that's fine, because really what you've got to hope is that when they come in and they're getting that book, that is a really magical experience for them.
Do you find post event that you have a lot of books left over?
I always overorder, because I also always have schools calling me in a panic saying, do you have 50 World Book Day books? They go to schools who didn't get to us in time. They go to schools who just don't have that sort of resources to be able to get themselves organized. Virtual schools, they go to hospitals, they do go to party bags, they go to charity, they go to basically all our outreach things. Another bookshop, I can't remember who it is, and she was giving them out to prisons. Everyone is so grateful for them, however they turn up.
What do you think is the biggest benefit to you as a bookshop and as a team in taking part in World Book Day?
I think it still feels like I'm participating in a wonderful party. And it's everything I loved about World Book Day as a kid when I was in school. And I just think I'm still giving that to children, and they are getting to enjoy it, and I know the teachers and the schools and the adults are enjoying it as well. You know, the children are happy, you know, they're going to remember it, and they do, because they come back. I love it when they bring in the books that and the stories and the writing that they've created, inspired by the authors who they've read or seen.
You just don't know if a child has come in and they've exchanged their token and they've got their book, and you might not ever see the impact that had on them in terms of becoming a reader. And there's something a bit magic about that, isn't there? That maybe they read that and that was the first book that they really enjoyed. If people are watching this conversation and they are a new bookseller or a very small bookshop just starting out, perhaps it's the first time that they've ever engaged with World Book Day, what advice would you give to someone who's maybe listening to all of this and thinking, this sounds incredible, but it's so overwhelming and I just don't know how we would ever do that?
Do whatever feels manageable for you. And I would start by just making the bookshop the most welcoming place possible, so that anyone who's buying that £1 book goes away feeling like that was a real treat. Write to 3 local schools, see if they want a hand on World Book Day in any way. They will come back and say yes. Start, I think, with your environment and build out from there, I think.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. It's so fascinating. It's always nice to have a chat with another bookseller, isn't it?
Oh, thank you. Good luck for it.
So that really was just the edited highlights of a really, really great conversation between Sanchita and Kirsty. So we're going to share that 10-minute version and also a slightly, well, a double in length, longer version that includes even richer parts of the conversation on our website today, along with the toolkit. So there's plenty more for you to explore there. We've got a little bit of time left. Anything that you would like to ask of Sanchita while she's still here? Sanchita, thank you for doing that. It was such a nice conversation between the two of you.
Oh, well, thank you for asking me. It is really, you could probably tell how much I enjoy World Book Day, but it is a lovely thing to be able to talk about and share. And I think whatever you can do to get involved, if you have the capacity, it's so rewarding. And you just come away buzzing with it. You've just got to make sure you've got enough biscuits in the kitchen to keep you going through it all.
Yes, hopefully, yeah. But you're proposing to give out biscuits as well as books for a minute. And I loved what you said, by the way, about making that token exchange just the real treats, because that's it, isn't it? It's that lovely, brilliant experience of being perhaps the first time a child has gone away with a book of their own that is just so very special. That's what you're all doing. You're creating that really important moment in a child's life. Wave of nostalgia. Not Diane, though. I think Diane's calling. Could you take yourself off mute, please?
Okay, no, it's Ian.
Ian.
A broader sort of question. We've supported schools from Bradford, which is sort of 2 towns away from us, as it were, because they've not had any support from the big chains like Waterstones or WH Smith. What is the expectation of their support for this fantastic campaign?
Of the chains?
Yes.
Well, they do the same as you in that they are buying in stock to give away to children who come in, and many of the chains will also make sure that they're getting books into schools. So it depends, like particularly with Waterstones that are quite locally run. But when it comes to the supermarkets as well, a lot of them are making sure that the stock gets to schools or gets out through community champions. We don't set an expectation because a lot of the time it's down to capacity. So sometimes we might have like a really big chain, but still capacity is quite thin to make a kind of involved World Book Day moment happen. But the chains all know that they're engaging with World Book Day on exactly the same terms that you are. Anything else? Okay. All right. Just wanted to put one final screen up to say, move along. A massive, massive thank you to you all. Booksellers are just so incredibly vital to making a brilliant World Book Day happen. You always have been and you always will be. So that's a thank you for joining today, but also a thank you for everything you do to make sure that the books are getting out to children and that children have a brilliant time when they're choosing those books. You play such an important role. We'd love you to share whatever you're doing. Come and talk to us at World Book Day, booksellers at worldbookday.com. I've just put in a little bit of a snapshot of our tags, but you'll see all of this in the bookseller toolkit that we're sharing with you very soon. And just please come and have a chat. If you've got questions or thoughts or so, let us know, and we are always here to have a conversation with you at World Book Day. Thank you all so much for joining. I found that really interesting. I hope you did too.
Thank you so much for putting that on. That was really helpful. Really appreciate everyone's time and support. Thank you.
Thank you for yours. Good luck with your days.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.